Hey everyone, how's it going today? Heather here. Today I want to share with you a little video about arthritis with regard to a question about arthritis on the forum. So I wanted to just share a little bit about that with you all here today to help bring inspiration and insight to those of you who have this, or maybe you know someone who has arthritis. This topic has been coming up a lot for me lately, just in my circle, and so I'm really excited and happy to share more information and insight with you all about approaching arthritis, because Western medicine doesn't really have good resources and options for arthritis, as that's the case for pretty much any chronic condition. So when you're approaching arthritis, first of all, it's really important to keep in mind that everyone has arthritis for their own unique reason. And that's true of any modern disease, any chronic disease. Usually there's no one-size-fits-all approach. Somebody who has cancer for one reason, somebody who has arthritis for one reason is likely going to be different than someone else who has that condition. So when it comes to arthritis, if you want to get to the root cause of this issue and dig a little bit deeper, first of all, I would invite you to take a look at your environment. This is where I start with everyone. When I do an intake with someone, I'm always looking at their environment and their past exposure to things. So things that could relate to arthritis are things like heavy metal exposure, non-native blue light exposure, lack of sunlight or sunlight deficiency. And these sort of things can contribute to arthritis. Even I had somebody who had a smallpox vaccine inserted into her hip area, and that we tested and traced that was significantly related to her experience with joint pain, arthritis, and that all had stemmed into psoriasis. So these things can kind of escalate and turn into other issues as well. So somebody who has arthritis, likely there's some other symptoms going on. Maybe you have poor digestion, maybe your sleep is a little compromised, maybe you have headaches, these sort of things. So it all's super dependent on you and your case and what you've been exposed to, and what issues or illnesses you've been had experience with throughout your life. All of these things are going to impact how any pathology may play out in your body. So when it comes to arthritis, I can give you a few insights here. Of course, you want to dive a little bit deeper if you're really into getting to the root cause of the issue for your own particular case. You may want to dive a little bit deeper. And I do this work with people through my Red Door work and through my nutrition and healing, quantum healing work with people. So know that there are a lot of solutions here that Western medicine typically doesn't offer, simply because they don't know, they're not taught that, that's not their realm. So when it comes to arthritis, really interestingly, sunlight is a huge key to overcoming arthritis. And this is true in a lot of disorders like cancer, like MS. For example, people who live further from the equator. So on the equator, there's 12 hours of sunlight every single day, 365 days a year. That's not the case where I live. It's not the case where most other people live. So the further you get away from the equator, typically the more mitochondrial diseases and diseases come up because of that sunlight deficiency that other people experience. So things like MS, things like type 1 diabetes, things like type 2 diabetes, and I even suspect things like cancer and arthritis, the further you get away from the equator, the more prevalent these things are, and the higher latitude you live at, then the more prevalent these things are likely going to be as well. Now, you could live near the equator and live an indoor life and live like a blue light life on your computer, on your phone. You could live near a cell tower, and so that would negate the healing effects of the sun and of the environment that you're in. But even if you don't live on or near the equator, there are many things you can do to improve your sunlight exposure to help improve your healing capacity. Because the more sunlight you're exposed to, it's like recharging your battery. It's like plugging in your battery into the outlet and recharging yourself. And most people don't do this. And these issues have gotten worse, mitochondrial diseases, that is, so like cancer, arthritis, type 2 diabetes, obesity, Alzheimer's. There's a whole list of mitochondrial diseases, and these things are getting worse, and that includes depression and brain fog and mental health issues. These things are getting worse because we're being overexposed to non-native blue light on a more frequent basis, and this is really depleting our hormones, it's depleting our ability to heal, and it really destroys our mitochondrial health. And the key to health and longevity is really based on how your mitochondria are functioning. So if you're someone out there who has arthritis, one of the most basic, simple things you can do is simply get more sunlight exposure. And there's this really interesting case that I read about where this individual was having extreme hip pain for years. He had scheduled an appointment with his doctor to, I think, look at options for surgery and medication in the Western sense to go about the hip pain because it was getting to the point of being debilitating. He had to walk with a cane, I believe. And so he's called his doctor, scheduled the appointment. And in between that phone call and when his appointment was scheduled, he had either lost or broken his glasses. I don't remember which it was, but one of those. He had lost or broken his glasses, and he lived a mostly outdoor life. He worked a lot with plants, and so he was outside a lot. And in this time period, from the phone call to the doctor visit, he progressively noticed that his hip pain was diminishing and going away, and each day he could do more activities. He could climb stairs, he could walk further, he could do all of these physical activities that prior to this experience of losing his glasses, he couldn't do without being in significant pain. And so the only thing that had changed between that time frame of that phone call, to his doctor was that he had lost or broken his glasses. So he was outside and his eyes were exposed to the sun. And this is a big cause of our mitochondrial health diminishing, of chronic and degenerative diseases, including arthritis, is that we're not getting enough sunlight exposure directly to the skin and to our eyes. We're afraid of the sun. We've developed, this phobia around the sun because we've been falsely misled to believe that the sun causes cancer and causes illness. And nature never creates something that makes us sick. It's us humans who create things that make us sick. So, and also we don't know how to utilize the sun in a proper way that helps us to access its healing capacity, because it has massive healing capacity, but we've lost touch with nature, with our own primalness, with our own wildness. And so with this, we've created this phobia around the sun. We've lost touch with how to utilize it to benefit from it. And I'm very soon, in the next few days, I'm going to release my Patreon site, which the very first post is called the Sunlight Prescription. And that is like the foundational basic key to rectifying and overcoming mitochondrial diseases, including arthritis. And it teaches you how to become in touch with nature again, how to rewild yourself, so to speak, so that you can utilize the sun's healing capacity to heal your own body. And this is really significant when it comes to arthritis. So as I was mentioning, this guy who lost or broke his glasses, basically his hip pain went away in a few weeks simply from not wearing his glasses and being outside more and being exposed to sunlight. And I believe he even lived at a high latitude up in the northeastern United States. So, and this is an area where the sunlight exposure isn't super high for all aspects of all parts of the year. So this says a lot when it comes to arthritis, and it's something I would invite you to do, is to go outside more in the sunlight with your skin and your eyes exposed. Now you have to really relearn and reteach your body how to do that so you can prevent burns and so you can utilize the sun's healing capacity. It's really easy to do, but right now us modern people we schedule our lives around our work. And really we need to learn how to schedule our self-care first and then our work second. And I know for some people that may be hard to do or not possible. And if not, it's really important to schedule self-care in throughout the day to help support your healing in whatever capacity that may be, including arthritis. And I would encourage people, and this is something I do myself, a big part of that self-care is around sunlight and getting access to sunlight, and how can I get in the sunlight? How can I utilize its healing capacity? And I'll leave you on this for today. One of the big reasons why sun is so healing is because it stimulates certain regeneration pathways in our body. So most people who have a chronic disease today or who are on their way to that route, they can't regenerate. Their body, the electrical current going through their body, their cells, it can't regenerate. And it's basically like a battery that's diminishing and losing vitality. And you can utilize the sunlight to help recharge your battery due to the certain solar spectrums that it has. And a few of those are infrared A light and UVA and UVB light. Now, we've been scared to avoid UVA and UVB light. Most medical doctors, most ophthalmologists are going to tell you, hey, wear your sunglasses, wear your sunscreen to make sure you block these things. Since we've introduced sunscreen in the 70s, rates of skin cancer have gone up at least a minimum of 2% per year. So things aren't matching up. And the study done on that correlates sunlight to cancer was actually not done outdoors in full spectrum sunlight. It was done underneath predominantly blue light in a hospital setting. And so that one study has set the stage and this phobia around sunlight for the entire world. And so we've been fed this false information around sunlight. So we've taken on blind beliefs around how it's bad for us, it causes cancer, and it causes aging and all these sort of things. That's just absolutely false. And especially when you know how to utilize each spectrum of the sunlight, because there are different different sunlight spectrums and frequencies that come out of the sunlight depending on the time of the day. And one of those is IRA light, which is huge for helping your body and your cells to regenerate itself. Now, most people have a degenerative disease because they can't regenerate and they're living off of old proteins. It's like living off of these old, worn out, broken proteins and cells day after day. And so you're going to feel no energy, you're going to have pain, you're not going to sleep well. The older and older these proteins get, and if that's what you're living off of, that's going to lead you to a mitochondrial disease. So one key to restoring your health is to improving your regeneration pathways. And one thing that does it is infrared A light from the sun. It stimulates every regeneration pathway in your body. However, this does not happen if you go out into the sunlight and you're, have sunscreen all over you, and if you're wearing glasses or contact lenses. These things block those healing rays from getting into your body. And so really shortly, I'm going to release that sunlight prescription so you all can really get the details of how to utilize the sun, how to rewild yourself, and how to heal yourself and regenerate your cells and proteins simply by being in the sun. This totally applies to arthritis. So if you're someone with arthritis, the number one thing that I would recommend you do is to, one, when I release the sunlight prescription, to get in the sunlight, follow that prescription as much as you can. Okay, and so number two is to block your blue light, that non-native blue light. So non-native meaning it's not coming from the sun, it's coming from your tech devices, it's coming from your computer, it's coming from your television, it's coming from LEDs or fluorescent lights. You want to block that. That's huge. It's a key to protecting your health, because when we're exposed to these things, it blocks your body's ability to produce melatonin. And your key to health is to produce a lot of melatonin and to acquire melatonin from sunlight during the day. So I hope that's helpful. If you have any questions, please post below. I appreciate this question and hope it's helpful, and look forward to sharing more with you all soon about the sunlight prescription and how you can utilize the sun to really recharge your battery and increase your healing capabilities. All right. See you next time.